Hello guys!
What's up? Konnichiwa.
This is my Japanese vlog, my vlog of MEXT scholarship student in Japan, and I have a special guest for those of you who have seen only my videos about Japan. Maybe you do not know him, but this is my husband Alex, who is also one of the Monoglossia duo.
Yeah.
Do you want to say hi to the people who are watching the Japanese vlog?
So, hello everyone. It's very interesting to be in Japan. It is also especially interesting because right now Japan is still closed for tourism. So we have Kyoto to ourselves for now. So we really can't complain about that. And I better get used to Japanese. So yeah.
The topic of this video is basically bringing your family to Japan on a dependent visa. Because this is how it goes. If you have a student visa, you are allowed to bring your direct family with you, that is to say husband, wife and children under 18 on a dependent visa, which is basically really an equivalent to the student visa, as in it will last the same amount of time, it allows you to work the same number of hours, basically everything is identical. So I spent 4 months without Alex and without our son Stefan, which really was a lot. I didn't expect to spend that much time on my own. Actually, at first I was hoping they could come with me, but then after reading some blogs and some posts on various groups on social media, I realized this was not realistic. Normally what would happen was that you would go to Japan as a student and then your family would come like a month after. However, now the situation being very specific, as you can see, it's been a lot more than 1 month. The main reason why you cannot just simply come together with your family is that you have to first issue a specific certificate for your family members called Certificate of Eligibility, and you have to issue it from Japan. You have to be here on the spot. So I started dealing with that literally right away. So the day I was out of quarantine and out of the hotel, I went to the local immigration office and I submitted the necessary documents. Actually, I have opened up a blog post that is really useful and that I'm going to reference below the video, that really shows a list of the documents that you're going to need when you're applying for the certificate of eligibility for your family. So here are the things you need and the things I needed. So completed application form, and then there is a link to the form. This is easy to find online. Then ID photo 30 to 40 millimeters. Then this point you don't have to worry about this. It says one self-addressed reply envelope with 392 yen in stamps attached. Actually, I didn't have to do any of that. In the immigration office I think they asked me to pay this price and that's all. Then you need some kind of document proving your relationship to the person. So for example, our marriage certificate or our son's birth certificate, and it could also be family register. So we ended up giving this also. I'll tell you in a minute. So this is like when you go to your local mairie back home where you were married, you can ask for this to be issued, and it will be with the current date as opposed to the actual certificate that was issued when you were married or when the child was born. So with us this turned out to be a bit of a problem because obviously we're from 2 different countries. It didn't occur to me that this would be a problem, but they needed this document both from Bulgaria and from Japan. I had one from Bulgaria prepared. Basically, we had gone through the whole procedure. It doesn't have to be the original, but if it's a copy, and it will be a copy because they don't return them,
You said from Japan, you meant from France as well, right?
Did I say Japan?
Yeah, no, it's okay.
I'm so used to Japan.
That was clear enough.
Yeah, from France. So yeah, the original document I had prepared was a copy of our marriage certificate from Bulgaria, and it was signed by a notary. It was translated into Japanese, and then there was a stamp and signature by a notary certifying that it was equivalent to the original. And this, you really need to do this. You need to translate into Japanese, maybe into English is possible, maybe, but I wanted to be on the safe side. So I did that for the marriage certificate, for the birth certificate, and this was not enough. They wanted the same thing for on the French side.
Yeah, so like basically I asked for this document, and I actually had to send it back to Japan, like in order for it to be completed.
So in France, the way things are slow in France, they said it would take up to 3 weeks to issue this document. So it was the family register copy, but he actually sent it to me via email at the same time. Then it ended up being much quicker than it was meant to be, so I received it maybe a week later.
Yeah, it was much faster than I predicted. Yeah.
But meanwhile, I had actually asked for it to be translated by a translation agency here in Kyoto, and they used the online scanned version. They were okay with that. So when I received the original, I just brought it directly to the immigration office. It took just a week. It could have taken a lot more. Actually, I was a bit nervous about it at first because I had prepared everything else. What else? Yes, these are the documents that are needed in order to prove your relationship with your dependents. Then copy of the supporter's resident card or passport. So this was my Japanese resident card, and one element that's important is that it had to be completed. It had to have my address at the back, which is done at the ward office once you do your resident registration. So I did all that in one day, but it has to be a completed residence card if you're going to use a Japanese residence card. Then proof of employment or activity and financial resources. It was enough to show
or common account, like some.
Yes, actually this was not necessary, but I left it anyway, and it might have helped, they took it. But what I had to show was that I'm a student at university and that I was receiving the MEXT scholarship. Basically, they wouldn't have needed proof for any other financial resources but the scholarship. So I actually didn't have this on the first day. I had brought the documents I had saying I would be a student at the university, but they needed the really super official documents that are issued in some machines at the university. So I did that a couple of days later and had to go back. Actually, funny story, I had to go back one extra time because when I was rushing to scan my residence card at the Konbini store, I copied it and left it in the copy machine. So I went there and they were like, "Can I have your residence card?" And I'm like, "I left it in the copy machine at 7-Eleven. So
yeah, and she was absolutely panicked. She actually called me in France. I'm sure it must have cost a fortune. So I had to calm her down.
That felt so bad. It was so far. I had already gone all the way to the immigration office. Then I had to go to university, so I couldn't just go back.
So yeah, things worked out.
And I think it was a Friday, so I had to go back on Monday.
Yeah.
So yes. So yeah, if the university document has to be taken from the university, the official document with the university stamp from the university, machines or equivalent, or maybe you will have to ask for it in some office at the university if it's not applicable, if there are no machines that you can access in the hall. Yes, basically there is a lot of information about business and this kind of things, but we're talking about students dependent, because you can be a dependent of someone who is not a student too, like someone working in the business. And proof of identity, yes, basically, because I'm applying for the certificate of eligibility, but it is not for me, it is for him. I am a proxy and I'm showing my residence card. Okay, that's all about the documents really. So after you submit, after you gather all the documents, and they could ask you to gather some extra ones, like it was in our case, you wait for, they say, a month before the certificate is issued, and it can work out a bit earlier than a month. I think after I had submitted all the documents, it took maybe 2 weeks. The thing is, they really count it a month, but considering the fact that you might have to return several times. Because when they were asking me about this extra document from France, they were like, how long is it going to take? And I said, maybe a month. And they said, if it takes longer than a month, let us know. So they kind of were considering that maybe they were looking at the other documents meanwhile or something, but that didn't delay the procedure very much.
Yeah.
So one morning I received in the mail like a notification that the certificates were ready. So it was a Tuesday morning. Tuesday I don't even have to go to university, so I was really ready to do nothing that day. But like I received this notification, so I ran to the immigration office. Then I ran to this was it DHL? You know, the like the really fast
the carrier.
yeah. So I went there, posted it to France. It arrived, like that was crazy, like the next day or in 2 days.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Really wasn't expecting it to go that fast.
Yeah, but sadly, in normal circumstances, this would have been the end of it. They would have been able to now go and have their visas issued in the Japanese embassy in Paris. However, the situation being what it was, actually they made a phone call and they were told that it was not possible. We were almost certain of that.
Yeah.
It was back in December, and
yes.
they had announced yet another, you know, like closing of borders. So they were not issuing visas for any newcomers.
Actually, back then, if you really put back in context, like there was the new strand
The
of
Omicron, yeah.
That was really, ravaging France. It was like all over the place.
Yeah, not just France. It's because of that they...
I got it. That was fun. Stefan too, actually. Yeah. So, yeah. So, yeah.
Then it made sense. So in January there started to be rumors that the border restrictions were going to fall out, and I actually had them write and call to the embassy several times.
Yeah.
Yes, but the last time I did, I was like, look, this time really do it, because now I've read in some like Facebook groups and stuff that they are allowing people to apply for a visa. So he wrote, and we were happy to see that they were saying, oh, you're talking about a dependent visa. Yes, absolutely. Like, please gather these documents and bring them to the embassy, and like let's set up an appointment so you could come to the embassy and have the visas issued. So what documents were there once again? Like, not as many as were needed for the certificate of eligibility, but once again we needed
the Stefan's birth certificate.
Yeah, the marriage certificate,
exactly.
a couple of photos. Yeah, like some passports, filled in application forms, another type, for the visas, and anything else. Maybe that was it. And then they sent a couple of additional files for me to fill in, like that I'm inviting you, invitation letter for me to you. And I think that was it. Yeah. And then they gave you an appointment, like this was really not a problem, right? Just a few days later you get an appointment.
So one thing that could be, an element, like it's probably important to take into account, like in order to have the visa ultimately, we had to pay like 25 euros per person. So it was 50.
Did?
Yeah,
at
so it was the embassy. Okay. So it ended up being 50 euros to have the, the monetary aspect is fortunately another element to take into account. We had to pay to have that.
Yes, and also you kind of, just like me back when I came here, you reserved a flight that was like really like short-term notice basically, so that was expensive too.
Yeah. Because due to the current situation, Air France decided to cancel its flight over, because they were flying directly
just
Paris.
A few days after.
A few days
Everything
after.
Was fine when you came, but just a few days later they actually cancelled all flights to Japan.
Due to the situation, so yeah.
Yes. And so we were saying...
I know it's not the subject. Donate to the Ukrainian Red Cross. Yeah, moving on.
Okay, so after you submitted the documents, it took once again maybe just a couple of days for the visas to be issued, right? When you went back to Paris to actually get your visas.
Yeah.
And then they gave you some extra information, such as about the phone apps that you would need when you arrive in Japan, and the PCR. Like there is a specific form that has to be filled in together with your PCR test, a form that's valid in Japan. I had to do that too.
There's an element that really surprised me. In France, well, probably because a lot of people are kind of, they were in two minds about vaccines, and so we ended up having something that we call pass sanitaire. Basically, that you need to show a QR code, like showing that you were vaccinated if you want to go in restaurants, if you want to see a film, if you're gonna enter in like some public spaces like concerts and things like that. There isn't such a thing in Japan. Like it's very much about
like me back then, like you're fully vaccinated, I was fully vaccinated still, like everyone else we needed this PCR proof. Okay, so I think that's all. I don't think we missed anything about the procedures. So that was very nice to see you guys, to have you arrive. So Stefan grew up a lot. He's taller than me now, significantly. Which is not hard, but still, like I was like, wow.
It was very sweet to see the two of them, but it was really quite impressive.
It took me a long time to get used to this, like a whole 10 minutes or so, to get used to being back together with them. So,
sorry.
So we're back together, and we'll be doing some Bulgarian language videos, I think.
Yeah, sure. I actually brought some, I actually brought the A2 version of the
step by step so stay tuned, and thanks for watching. If you have any questions about bringing your family to Japan, you can ask.
Thank you for everything, and once again, sorry to be a little bit political, but again, please donate to the Ukrainian Red Cross, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.